Start. There.
Hello again, welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is BGFH back for another iOS app, and today I'm going to show you one other mainstream reading app. And so far we've taken a look at the Nook and Kindle apps, and those have been straight up text. And there is a mainstream service that has become very popular, especially the last few years, called Audible. You may be familiar with it. Let's pop right into that app real quick. Audible.
Double tap.
And this app is also free.
Audible. Settings. Button.
So, Audible is a service that's been around for quite some time. I originally joined it myself several years ago, probably around, probably about 1999, 2000, somewhere right around there. It was really early on. And I remember early on, one of the problems that I got tired of with it was a lot of their early books were abridged, so you really had to be careful about, they had quite a few that were actually the abridged version. Well, if I'm going to read the abridged version, why bother? I don't want the Cliff Notes, I want that whole actual book. But thankfully, in the last several years, they've really stepped it up, and their library has become very, very large, and they're actually starting to get a lot of books on their day and date, their same release as their print counterpart. So they're really getting a lot better, especially for like the top sellers and the top authors and the, New York Times bestsellers list, that kind of thing. They're getting a lot more of those things, and you'd be surprised at some of the content that you find available. There has actually been a few series and a few books where I haven't been able to find even on Bookshare or the NLS or any of these other services, but Audible has had them. So, good for them. And the way Audible, the service itself works is that you can buy books straight up, buy it like a regular bookstore, but I wouldn't recommend that. They also have, because they're kind of expensive overall. The other thing you can do is become a member for free. You can sign up for an account, and you may get a discount here and there, but really, if you join one of their listener programs, you can get like 1 or 2 books a month for a set price. So I don't remember what the current rate is, but it's somewhere probably between $15 and $20 per month, which essentially what it kind of evens out to be is maybe you buy one and you get one free of these audiobooks. But in addition to that, if you become one of these members with one of these monthly paid members, you also get a lot of other perks where they'll have member sales. You'll get like a lot of buy one get one free books. You'll get a few freebies thrown in here and there. You'll get a lot of $5 sales. Just a lot of different things like that. So that is kind of Audible. And like I said, this is a service not just for blind people or people with disabilities. This is a service that is available to anyone. And if you listen to podcasts or do a lot of things around the internet, you've probably seen Audible advertised everywhere. A lot of things that I listen to or watch or read, I see Audible advertisements everywhere. So that is what Audible is. And here is the Audible app, available on iOS devices. Works on anything, the iPod, the iPad, and the iPhone, of course.
Settings. Button.
So in the top left, we've got our settings button. I'll go into there quick.
Settings.
Okay.
Refresh library. Button.
I can refresh my library.
Sync device position. Button.
Sync device position. So again, if I want to make sure that I want to read or I want to be able to pick up on another device where I left off, I can do that.
Help and support. Heading. Frequently asked questions. User guide.
Oh, and I apologize. I did not. Let me.
30%.
There we go.
Language.
Slow it down for you guys a little bit. I'm so used to just using it fast that occasionally I do forget to do that. But again, you see how easy that is to do within VoiceOver to just adjust that on the fly.
Contact us. Button.
So we've got user guide, FAQ, contact us.
Region. Heading. Marketplace.
There's really not a whole lot.
Back. Button.
There's really not a whole lot under
Settings.
settings. You basically just, again, because this is a mainstream service and it's not developed by Apple, just like the Nook and the Kindle apps, you have to go to their website with Safari or your computer, search for and buy the books there. Now, all of the Audible books are going to work on the thing, so on the device, so you don't have to worry about really incompatibilities there because they're just basically audio files. So we have our settings. If I flick to the right here again,
Cloud button. One of
now
two.
we have a couple different areas. We have cloud
Selected. Device.
and
button.
device.
Two
Just
of
like
three.
on a couple of these other apps, I can look at what I have actually on the device, which is what we're looking at now. And then cloud being, these are the books that I have available in my library, and I can choose to download one or several of them to my local device, because in this app you cannot stream them. In order to listen to them, you first need to download them locally, and then they will be playable.
iTunes button. Three of
So
three.
you can also pull in through iTunes, which I never use, but you can do that if you choose.
Delete button. Deactivated.
So I can delete things if I have something checked.
Search button.
I can search my
Search
library.
your library. Filter button.
Filter.
Filter your library.
Again, these are all pretty common. You've seen enough of these book reading apps that I'm sure you're pretty familiar with what these things do by now.
Sort button. Guns, unabridged, by Stephen King. Narrated by Christian Rummel. 48 minutes 18 seconds left.
Now, this is a book that I got as a freebie as an Audible member, and it was actually kind of interesting. It was an essay written by Stephen King about, with all the gun violence and news stories and shootings and things like that. He had written a really kind of an interesting little paper, or kind of a little booklet on that, and it was, like I said, kind of interesting. So that I have downloaded to my device. If I double tap on that,
Guns, unabridged, by
Dramatic and
back button.
and it pops in and just starts playing. There it goes.
the shake. Here's how it shakes out. First, there's the shooting. Few of the trigger pullers are middle-aged, and practically none are old. Some are young men.
Pause button.
Now in the bottom middle of the screen, I'll walk you through kind of the playback screen, which is what we're on here. Again, if I start from the top,
Back button.
I can go back to my list of books in my library.
Volume button.
I got my volume
Product
control.
details button. Airplay button.
AirPlay, again, this is if I have an Apple TV, I can shoot it out to that, and I can basically play it out, through my TV or whatever.
48 minutes 28 seconds remaining.
There's my
0
time.
minutes 29 seconds. 0, 29, 48. Previous chapter button.
So the nice thing is I can also navigate. They have them divided up. I can go by the table of contents, or I can just go previous or next chapter.
Next chapter. But chapter 1 of 1. Play button.
And then my big old play
Starts
button, which is
playback.
in the bottom middle. It's a play pause button there.
Jump back button. Bookmark button.
And I can set bookmarks
Back
in
to
the
bookmark.
audio file, just like I can within a text document.
Sleep timer button.
I can set a sleep
Enter
timer
sleep
for
mode.
the audio, which is pretty self-explanatory.
Chapters and bookmarks button.
Chapters and bookmarks,
Displays
again,
chapters
that's
and bookmarks.
where I can, if I've set any bookmarks, or if I want to look at the table of contents and jump to a certain section. This book isn't a good example of that because it is just a short little kind of an essay sort of booklet, so where there's not too much in here, but
Narration speed button.
narration speed, let's
Changes
pop
narration
into
speed.
here. So I'll double tap that. And by
Close.
default, naturally, you're going to be at 1x, which is your default reading speed. And again, these are all human narrated books, so I know some people don't really like, especially for leisure reading, they don't really like the more robotic speech of some of these synthesizers, although, like I said, with some of these, like the Heather voices and things that they're coming out with now, they're actually getting not too bad. That said, if you still do want, some really good audio, this is maybe a good
2.5x.
source to go. So it does have a few increments.
Selected 1x, 1.25x, 1.5x, 2x, 2.5x, 3x.
Now I'm going to pump it up to 3, which is the highest you can go.
Play.
And now listen to the speed that it plays back.
Play button. Pause.
The Jonesboro, Arkansas school shooters were 13 and 11. Second, the initial TV news reports, accompanied by flourishes of music and dramatic breaking news logos at the bottom of your screen. No one really knows what the fuck is going on, but it's exciting. You get your still photo of a location, you get your map from Google or Bing. The cable news producers are busting their asses trying to get some.
Play.
So, you notice, as I mentioned in one of the other videos when I was demonstrating audio playback, the kind of odd thing is when you do speed it up past 1x, you do get this weird kind of like compression or this weird kind of like robotic, tinny sound to it, which is still listenable, but can be kind of obnoxious, especially if you're used to speeding things up even a lot faster on a talking book player or a device like the Victor Reader Stream or something like that. But that is, if you do want to listen to it faster, you're not going to get it in near as fast as some of these blindness-specific devices, which is unfortunate because that is one reason that I still do use my stream as much as I do for speeding up actual human spoken content, because I've just gotten so accustomed to listening to things fast that's how I prefer to read things. Otherwise, things just sound really too slow for me. That said, you do have some speed adjustment there. Let me back out to the main library page here. Now remember, we were looking at books on my device. If I go back up to the top,
Selected. Device. Cloud. Button.
and I flick to the left and I go Cloud.
Selected. Cloud. One of
Now
three.
these are all books that have been purchased or have gotten into my library somehow or another, freebies, purchased, whatever. These are all just in there, so I can...
Blood Rights. Unabridged. By Jim Butcher. Narrated by James Marsters. 13 hours 11 minutes. The Third Kingdom. Unabridged. By Terry Goodkind. Narrated by Sam Salvas.
There's a
17
Terry
hours,
Goodkind
12,
book,
The Chris Farley
which I
Show.
haven't read yet.
Unabridged. By Tom Farley. Tanner Colby. Narrated by
That was
Terry.
actually a really interesting book about Chris Farley, if you like him. He was definitely one of my favorite Saturday Night Live, and I love Tommy Boy and things like that, so that was a really interesting book. But yeah, so if I could double tap on any one of these, now keep in mind that Audible does break, especially the longer books, into multiple parts for faster downloads, so a lot of books that I've gotten have been in usually 2 parts, or sometimes 3. There's been a couple that have been just really, really long, which I've had like 3 or 4 or more parts, but on average 2 to 3 parts, and so you can download as much as or as little as you want, but just remember that you do have to download them to your device to read them. But like I said, that is just kind of like a little quick overview of the library part, and then just like all these other apps, there's tabs across the bottom.
Selected. My Library.
I've got My Library,
More Books. Button.
More Books. Now, ordinarily this would have let me shop,
More Books.
but
Audible is home to a vast catalog. You'll find bestsellers, sci-fi, romance, classics, humor, and more.
so it's just giving me a little blurb that like, yeah, we can't sell you the books anymore, so you really kind of have to go to our website right now to buy books.
Now playing.
Now
Button.
playing, pretty self-explanatory. I
Discuss the
can
title
pop
that is
back
playing.
to my little Stephen King book that I had open there.
News. Button.
News, that just gives you some like probably release information
News.
and
Heading.
different things like to tell you about like credit sales and things like that you can get.
A stunning debut. The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Chosen by NBC as a Today Show book club pick.
Yeah, good for
21-year-old
you.
Audible Fall Preview. The biggest blockbusters and pre-orders. Summer is winding down, so it's time to put away the...
So there you go. I mean, it's just a lot of like kind of a news feed from the Audible website, which like I said, will highlight, like they have like fall books or highlighted books of the month or deals or whatever it happens to be. You'll get you news there.
Me. Button.
And then the Me area, which is where I can manage my account and different things like that. So, it's pretty comparable to what we've looked at on some of these other text services, like with these text file books, like Kindle and Bookshare, but these just happen to be audio. The only other thing that I will say to kind of wrap up this video on Audible is that, like I said, the
X-Wrap.
other books
X-Wrap. Ready.
have been text, so they're really small, but Audible books, because they're audio, are going to take up a lot more space. So keep that in mind, because they are actually audio. You will want to make sure that you have, especially if you plan on reading a lot of books, make sure that you have a device that has ample storage. And with that, I will wrap up this quick little look at the Audible app. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.
Stop.